Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, it's that time of the month again, and we are ranking the legends that are on OPTC Global. So, before we do start this video, obviously this is my official tier list. All these opinions are subjective just due to me playing the game a lot, as well as being playing the game for a little while. So, we are going to go through every legend. I'm going to move quite quickly through all of them, and we're basically going to talk about 3 of the newest legends that have popped up on OPTC Global in the last month, being Big Mom vs Kaido and the new 6+ of Blackbeard. We're going to talk about, obviously, Kaido and Big Mom separately. They're basically 2 units in one, so we are going to do that. But we're also going to run through all the other legends, see if anyone moves from last month's tier list, and sort of just give some credit to where I didn't give credit due, I suppose. But before we continue, huge shout out to the OPTC database for the images provided, as well as the OPTC tier list maker. All of those links will be in the description if you guys want to go create your own tier list. Feel free to link your tier list in the description, in the comment section below. I'd love to see what you guys think. And while you're down there, make sure to smash that like button, hit the big red subscribe button if you're new to the channel. But that's enough about that. Let's hop in. So before we begin, let's have a look at the criteria quickly. So this is how I rank the units. We do have a bunch of different categories, being S tier captain, S tier sub. The difference between the S tier captain and the S tier sub is basically the S tier captains are usually the better units in the game. They are the most usable in terms of being the leader, but S tier subs, they are characters that have very powerful specials that wouldn't even make maybe A tier captain, but still have a great special. Someone like Vivi Rebecca, for example, would easily make the S tier sub, or even someone like Corazon, Rayleigh, those types of characters that have very, very good specials. A tier captain is one that sort of just falls short of the S tier captain. A tier sub, you could make an argument to obviously be better than B tier captain or whatnot, but it's mainly just used as a sub. B tier captain obviously just being below A tier, and then the final 2 categories I do have is support and pirate rumble. So that's where those sort of characters shine. But the main criteria that I do use to rank these units is power, so how strong their special is, how strong their captain ability is, the utility, how good they are on multiple different scenarios, whether they've got a special that can remove many different debuffs or anything like that. Next, I have usability. How often do I use this unit, or how well you can slip them into teams even if they aren't boosted. Next, we have type and class, being like what color they are and what their classes are. Obviously, if they are a better class, or that class is doing better in the meta, they're going to rank higher this month than they may be ranking previously. As new characters pop in, they obviously buff classes as well, so that could make some movement as well. We have speed, how fast or slow the character can complete the content. And then the final criteria is replaceability. So can this unit be replaced by another rare recruit, or something like a free-to-play unit? That is huge for me. If there is a free-to-play unit that I like to use more than a character, for example, Super Type Sabo and Clash Jinbei, I much prefer using Clash Jinbei than I would using someone like Super Type Sabo, mainly because there's utility there, but we'll talk about that as we get to the characters. So, let's get rid of these things here, and let's move over to the tier list. Now, I am going to have to zoom out, obviously, because I do have a lot of categories for my tier list, and we may need to zoom out a little bit, but hopefully we can keep all characters in frame. Now, I have deleted the super evolutions, or the non-super evolutions, I should say, and once again, we are just ranking characters that are on OPTC Global. Alright, so let's begin. So, first of all, we've got the original Lucy. Definitely a B tier sub. The carryover effect is actually really, really nice. It can actually get around a lot of mechanics that stop you from using attack buffs. Next, we've got Judge. Judge, honestly, I would put in A tier sub. He's an orb booster and 7 turns of chain lock with, bind, which is very, very strong. V2 Dofi, I guess you could put as B tier sub, but look, just nowadays, I don't really use Dofi all that much. I do use him in like speed farming and stuff like that. And I guess he is probably the best driven captain, so I guess we'll put him in B tier captain. Next, we've got Luffy and Ace. They can go in B tier captain as well. These 2 characters, Dofi and Luffy and Ace, can both be hybrided up. Luffy and Ace still don't have a terrible special, I guess, if you are using the one for Spirit teams, but they have been basically replaced with like a lot of other free-to-play units. Next, we've got Shanks. Now, Shanks would easily find himself in either A tier sub, but I do think he is quite viable still as a captain, mainly because of the super typings that are floating around at the moment. So you could use him as a captain. Same, or I guess we'll put him as we'll put these 2 as A tier subs. you could make an argument that they are A-tier captains, but I do want to try and segment this as much as possible without just like totally ripping off units. So we're going to put them in A-tier sub, mainly because I mainly use these guys as subs rather than captains, but you could make an argument that they are better than, and I could make an argument that they are better than the B-tier captains. The admirals will pretty much always stay together, that being Akainu and Aokiji, the V2 ones, as I can never move these characters. I don't know what's wrong with me whenever I try, as they are very similar for their own respective colors. Next, we got the original Tank Man. He's still a 2x attack booster, Rainbow, so I guess you could still put him in B-tier sub. He's a little bit different to the original Snake Man, which is quite good. Tessero. Tessero is definitely an A-tier sub. You could make an argument for Tessero being in Pirate Rumble as well, as he is exceptionally great in Pirate Rumble. But the main, the thing about Tessero is he has a very good special 3.2 to 5x chain lock, as well as giving matching orbs. So A-tier sub, definitely a good place for him. Next we have V1 Katakuri, the original V1 Katakuri. I want to keep him and the other super type on the same level, as they have that delay mechanic, but the conditions for this guy is just literally like getting the guaranteed delay is actually quite tricky. So I'm actually just gonna, I'm just gonna take him off. We really don't need him here. Next we've got V2 Sanji. V2 Sanji, honestly, is just absolute doo-doo. He's good for fighter teams, but fighter teams are suck, so we're actually just gonna remove him from the list. Next we've got Waka. Waka's actually still an A-tier captain. The switch ability is very, very strong. They are a lot slower, but they can still be hybrid up with a lot of very good characters, and their stalling potential is incredible. Next, we've got Fu Luffy, probably the same as this Tank Man. Quite a good sub for stalling, as well as doing quite a bit of damage with his extra base attack. Shiki, we can say goodbye to Shiki. He's really only good as a wave clearer. Next, we've got Brook. Brook, I'm going to put in A-tier sub. He's got a lot of healing, he can make every color matching, and he will just instantly kill units, but I just don't find myself using Brook that much. But I can't underestimate what this guy can actually do. You could probably put him in B-tier captain, to be honest, if you really want to. Because you can hybrid him up, and you can use the zombie mechanic. But he is a better sub, in my opinion. But we'll put him in B-tier captain for now. Zephyr, we can say goodbye to Zephyr. We don't need no Zephyr. Next, we've got Carrot. Now, Carrot, I'm going to put in B-tier captain. I'm probably going to drop her down. She's still very, very good, but with the release of 6+ Blackbeard, I just don't find myself using Carrot all that much, and if I did want to speed farm stuff, I would always hybrid Blackbeard up with someone like Kaido V1 or the Verse Kaido, but we'll talk about that. Next, we got Katakuri. I don't think I gave Katakuri much justice last time. He's definitely a B-tier captain. He's got color affinity, which means he can output a lot of damage, but with normal attacks only, he sort of suffers the same as Dofi. Bardo Cavendish is A-tier sub. They will see an increase, but I am going to drop them down from S-tier sub. Their switchability is basically the reason they're here. They obviously can tank damage, and they're good for forests. But in terms of S-tier sub, there are just a lot of rare recruits I prefer to use over them. Next, we've got Jack. Jack sort of has to go into B-tier captain. He gives extra XP, which is absolutely great, as well as being a 3x captain, rainbow captain. Next, we've got Dex Saber. Dex Saber is actually pretty decent. I kind of want to make an argument to put him into A-tier sub, but I just don't think he's as good as some of these units up here. So we're going to put him into B-tier sub now. He is a chain locker, as well as a orb booster, and his captain ability is actually quite strong, but he does sort of lack a little bit of like usability, as you do have to make sure you are killing something every single turn. Jumanji. Jumanji's still an A-tier captain, as powerhouses are just absolutely run riot, and they're just going to continue to do so. That attack and the orb boost is just so damn strong, as well as their switchability being absolutely amazing. Next we got Cracker. Cracker can go into A-tier sub for me. I don't really use Cracker that much, but like you can't deny when Cracker works, he works. He still has the highest chain buff in the game for the moment, as Vivi and Rebecca and Shirashiri aren't out yet, the V2 waifus. But Cracker is still fairly decent when you can make him work with his block orb manipulation, and he just recently got a 6+ on Japan, which is pretty cool. Next, we've got the V2 Slashes. The V2 Slashes, I guess you could make an argument for something like B-tier captain, but the thing with Slashes are, they just really aren't that amazing. You could easily hybrid them up with someone like Roger or Odin, though. So we'll put them in B-tier captain for now, but like I really wouldn't recommend leveling these units up, as I just see very limited play, unfortunately. Next, we've got Laffy. Laffy's going to go into S-tier sub still. Their switchability is still incredible. Ideally, I don't use them as a captain as much, but I definitely still use them as a sub. That Rainbow 2.5x orb boost cannot be shrugged at, as well as making matching orbs. Next, we've got Big Mom, who came out at the same time, still an S-tier sub, 3.5x captain. That base stats is huge. She's amazing for stuff like Kazuna. You can make the same argument for Luffy and Law as well. Next, we've got Sabo Koala. They're going to join them in the S tier sub. Their switchability giving color affinity to 2 very good classes, being Free Spirit and Cerebrals. Oh my god, could you please just go there? Is very, very strong, as well as having the only character in the game that can get around a specific mechanic, which means that S tier sub is the perfect spot for them. Next, we've got Neko and Inu. Neko and Inu, I'm actually going to put down here in B tier sub. You could make an argument for them being an A tier sub. They do have the carryover effect for Cerebrals and Strikers, but because they have an attack and then an orb boost carryover, you really want to try and bring 2 of them if you can. But their carryover effect is still something that we need to look at. Very similar to this Lucy, as it can get around certain mechanics in the game. VV Rebecca, one of the best subs in the game, V1 that is. They're still amazing, still have one of the best switch abilities in the game. Can completely remove damage reduction and defense up, so there's not much else that needs to be said about that. They're just incredible. Limit break key them if you can. Next we've got Shirashari. Shirashari, I want to put in A tier sub, but in terms of me as a player usability, they are a B tier, but you can't deny what they can do. 10 turns of removing any debuff that you have up in above, not that's like blind, despair, paralysis. You can easily remove, which is great for stuff like normal attacks only. They give a very big heal, and they can give rainbow orbs. Their switchability is still very strong, so I think A tier sub is probably the perfect place for them. This bullet needs to go because he has the super evolution. Stampede Luffy. Stampede Luffy is definitely an A tier captain, purely because he has despair and paralysis removal built into his captain ability. Any captain that has utility built in is always going to find themselves higher up on these tier lists. This Whitebeard can go because he has a super evolution. Kaido. Mr. Kaido. Kaido has to go into A tier captain. He's still the king of speed farming, even with the new verse Kaido coming out. If there's no normal attacks only, Kaido is still king. Next, we've got Halloween Ace. Now, normally for me, I use Halloween Ace a lot more as a support, but he is still a decent captain as he has utility, 10 turns of special rewind and special bind, which is actually pretty good. You can hybrid him up with the Halloween slashes as well. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in A tier captain, but for me, I mainly use this guy as a support. He has a very good support on Luffy and Sabo, removing 3 turns of bind at any time whenever it's inflicted. Next, we have Onami. Onami, I'm going to put in the support category. You can make an argument that she has a very good special, setting the defense to 0, doing a lot of heal, but most of the time you are using her as a support on someone like Sanji, purely because you can set the defense to 0 anyway. If you have if you want to set the defense to 0, there are a lot of other units that can actually do that. You know what? I'm actually going to put Kung Fu Luffy down here in the support as well. Kung Fu Luffy has quite a good support. He's a rainbow attack booster though. Now we'll put him up here. We'll keep him up here in B tier sub. Like I said, you can make an argument that Onami is higher, but until her super evolution comes out, for the moment, she's basically only used as a support. Next, we've got Komarasaki. Komarasaki's got to be an A tier captain. She has a lot of damage reduction. I think it's 20%. She makes matching orbs. She has a very, very good special. Quick sort of suffer a little bit. That's why she's probably so high, as Quick don't have many other options. But her ability to sort of tank as well as heal on perfects is very, very strong. The downside to her, she doesn't have a lot of HP. Next, we have Chopper. Chopper's got to be an S tier sub. He is a quality of life captain, obviously duping the drops of Cotton Candy, but the fact that he can remove like 5 turns of every debuff in the game is actually insane. His cooldown's a little high, I think it's 14 turns, but other than that, he's very, very good. Luffy and Zoro, definitely an S tier sub for me, personally. I love their switchability. They've got one of the best switchabilities in the game. They do boost orbs, and they can provide 1 orbs as a captain, but mainly using this guy as a sub because they are a chain locker and an orb boost, and the fact that they're slasher and free spirit is very, very strong. Next, we got Sobermast. Sobermast came out at the same time as Luffy and Zoro. He's going to find his spot in S tier sub. This guy's incredibly sub, as he gives himself 4 turns of cooldown every time he uses another special. Block orb manipulation into T&D orbs, makes T&D matching, and gives a 1.75 times attack boost. That can be into 2.5 if you really want it to as well. Nami and Robin. Nami and Robin I've been using a lot lately. They do 10 turns of paralysis removal. Which is great for stuff like Garbs challenges and whatnot, but otherwise I really don't use them that much. They are a massive orb boost for 2 very good, or 1 very good color being Int. But other than that, you don't really find too much use for them, but they do have a lot of good support potential. So I think I have to put them in A tier sub, but you could make an argument that they belong in the B tier, I guess. Pudding. This Pudding, I think I dropped her down, but I'm actually going to put her back into S tier sub. Her ability to stockpile specials and then get her special back every single time and then pop that is actually incredible. And that's the big reason why I actually kept Lucy on this tier list, mainly because you can use her to get around different mechanics. So she's basically just better versions of the carryover characters that are found in B tier subs. So S tier sub, I definitely have to put Sugar up there. Shout out to my boy Flambius. You'll be happy to see that she's riding high on this tier list, my friend. Next, we've got Arlong Crew. I think Arlong Crew is pretty underrated. I'm definitely going to put them as an A tier sub. They can be a 2.5 times attack booster, but most of the time they're a 2 times, depending on how much HP you have. But their cooldown is actually incredibly good, giving cooldowns to your entire crew, as well as their switchability being very unique. So A tier sub for me is amazing. He's probably the right spot. Next, we've got Shanks Crew. We're going to have our first S tier captain. Shanks Crew, I know, is a dual unit, and probably that and one other. The only dual units you'll see up here in S tier captain, mainly because they have special blind removal built in. They have that end of turn damage reduction. They make orbs matching. But look, there's like not a lot that this character can't do. And worst case scenario, well, I don't really care what you say. You cannot deny that he's not an S tier sub, but he's still very viable as captain. And in my opinion, he's the best quick captain in the game. Next, we have Mihawk and Perona. They're an S tier sub. Conditional boost, which is exceptional. The only character that can actually do it. They have a very good switchability as well. So S tier sub for them is where they belong. V3 Rayleigh, I'm going to chuck into B tier sub. When V3 Rayleigh works, he works, but like otherwise he's just not there. Literally just changing one line in his special would make him so much better. Being a 2 times orb booster to fighter and cerebrals and ignoring defensive effects is great, but the fact you can't use any other special kind of sucks. V3 Aokiji is definitely an A tier sub. Being able to give a 2.25 times orb boost, oh my god, can you please just go there? As well as doing color affinity as well, is very, very good, as he does it for 3 different colors, which is more than half of the units in the game, so which is awesome. It's really, really good to see. Next, we've got V2 Snake Man. V2 Snake Man's going to find his way into S tier captain. He's got one of the best super typings in the entire game. He's a 5 times captain to strength, which is one of the best colors in the game. So there's not much else to say about this guy. You guys know how amazing he is. Next, we've got Super Type Sabo. Super Type Sabo I'm going to put into B tier captain. So shout out to you Sabo lovers. I'm going to chuck him on the list this time. Mainly because most people pointed out to me that Bullet is a thing. Now if Bullet wasn't a thing, this character would definitely not be as high as he actually is. But because strength is actually still so strong, he is still viable as a hybrid unit. So I'm going to put him up there in B tier captain. But for me, I really don't use this unit ever. You could make an argument that he's a B tier sub, mainly because I use like Clash Jinbei more than him. That's the big downside that I do find to this unit. He's just replaceable with so many other units, and because he's a color affinity booster, he kind of lacks that sort of extra oomph, as the color affinity is only for red, which is great for stuff like Bullet, but I just think if he was like Halloween Shanks and had color affinity to classes, it would make him a lot more viable. Next, we've got Super Type Katakuri. He's going to be an A tier captain, conditional that he can guarantee as well, being a Super Type unit, which is just incredible. He's going to find his way into A tier captain easy peasy, alongside his best friend that is Super Type Blackbeard. Super Type Blackbeard's an absolute monster. He's just very, very slow, but even as a sub, he's still very, very good. Super Type Kid's going to find his way into A tier captain as well. He's easily the best Dex captain in the game. If you can get his Super Type popping off, he actually does. He's actually got quite a good Super Type. Plus, he's the only mechanic that can utilize bomb orbs, which is why he has to be so high. But between him and Kaido, I guess you could argue that they're probably the best two Dex captains of the game, and they can hybrid up really, really well. Next, we've got Hawkins. Hawkins, to me, just sucks so much doo-doo. But if I'm going to put V3 Rayleigh on the list, let's put Hawkins in the same category. You could honestly make an argument to put him in B tier captain just because of his uniqueness, but unless you're partnering with Kaido, there's no chance that you're going to put this guy, you're ever using this guy as a captain, really. His tap timing is quite nice, very similar to the Katakuri. Where I put Katakuri, this B tier captain, but he doesn't have as much damage output, so I'm going to put him into B tier sub. Next, we've got Law. Law's going to be an S tier captain for me. Law's tankiness and healing is actually incredible. Law, there's not much that Law can't do. He has like a very good chain locking mechanic, a very good orb boost. He does 3 different very good classes, and he can be hybrided up, being like one of the best colors in the game as well. So S tier captain's easy peasy for me with that unit. Next, we've got Akainu. I'm going to drop Akainu into A tier captain. The downside I find with Akainu is if you aren't using the 3 colors, strength, dex, and quick, he just loses everything. So dual units like hinder this unit significantly, and the fact that you can't really use them kind of sucks. But he can put out a lot of damage. He's got a lot of good matching orbs, and he's got a very good special. Next, we've got Smoker. I think I have to find a spot for Smoker on this tier list, and I actually want to put him. I'm going to put him in BT sub. He only really provides the attack or the orb boost, depending on whatever you have. His captain ability is great. Like, you could argue, well, not great, actually, I should take that back. You could argue that he is like a B tier captain, but like, it's very rare that you're ever using this guy as a captain. I would much rather use stuff like the Kuzan, Komarasaki, and I'm always using this guy as a support, really. So ideally for me, I would put this guy in support, because that's really the only time I'm using him. But you could make an argument that he's a B tier sub, as he does have a 2.5 times attack boost to quick. The downside is quick kind of suck. Next we got Sugar. Sugar, I kind of want to put in S tier sub. She's actually got quite a good super typing. In my opinion, it's one of the better super typings. But I think she's just a little bit better than some of those A tier captains. Not saying that these A tier captains don't have very good specials, but it's very rare that I'm using these guys as actual subs. And when I am, it's mainly for just like overpowered whale teams. So Sugar I actually use quite a bit as a sub, mainly because the bear mechanic is so ridiculously strong. Getting around, like paralysis, blind, all that sort of stuff is just incredibly good. Next, we've got V3 Boa. Now, V3 Boa I'm actually going to put still in S tier captain. I know people probably find that a little bit controversial, if I could get her up there. But the reason I'm actually going to put her up in S tier captain is because she's definitely not an S tier sub. Like, you can use her as a sub if you can get the Mera ability off. But any of these characters in S tier captain are usually good if you run 2 of them. That's the big criteria for S tier captain. They don't need to be hybrided up. And if you use Boa as a captain with another Boa, it actually works really, really well because of her super typing. If she didn't have the super type that she did, she would be nowhere near as high on this list. But because she's Sai, because Sai are very, very good, at the moment for this month, she still retains the S tier captain in my opinion. Moving on to Odin now, I'm actually going to drop Odin from S tier captain down to S tier sub. Mainly because I have actually been using Odin as a captain every now and again, but just without him hybriding up with someone else, he just struggles for orbs, which is then all of his damage. He's built around the TND or Wano orb mechanic, and if you can't get that, it's actually really, really hard to use this character. Unlike the character that came out with him, which is Roger, which is definitely the best character in the game still in my opinion. Even with the release of Big Mom vs Kaido, I still do believe this character is the best unit in the game. He's the most fun to me, he's the easiest to build teams for. There's no real lagging, but look, Big Mom vs Kaido isn't that far behind, don't get me wrong. Next we've got the Halloween slashes. All the Halloween slashes for me all are on the same page, and they are all A tier captains in my eyes. Mainly because they can all be hybrided up very, very well together. They can be hybrided up with stuff like Blackbeard and Katakuri as well. Why do you go all the way to the front now? Why? Go away. I actually regret moving you now. Alright, you can go to the back. Basically because they all be hybrid up. Now, I prefer using Halloween Lore the most as a captain out of these, but you can't deny what this Mihawk can do. I normally use this Mihawk as a sub on the Lore team, but if you don't have Lore, like, Mihawk's just as good. Same with Shanks. Shanks is, like, arguably the most damage output out of all of these. It's literally just have to hit it perfect before it. If you have all 3 of them together, they all work very, very well. It's very hard to split these units for me. Like, Lore is the most fun. I think Mihawk has the most power. But Shanks has the most sort of like tankiness and utility, so it's very hard for me to separate these units. I think they're all on the same page. As subs, they do differ, but the fact that you can literally get all of their specials to carry over across 2 rooms is just incredibly strong, like incredibly strong. I really like with Halloween Shanks too that he is a cerebral and slasher booster for color affinity. He does give that chain buff for int characters as well, which is another reason why he's up this high. But in terms of like sub potential, I think he is actually the best for me, mainly because he can be used with some of like most of these characters up the top here, mainly this one right here being Roger. Next we've got Luffy and Sanji. Luffy Sanji is another unit that's going to make their way into S tier captain. They have one of the best switch abilities in the game. They have a very, very good overheal mechanic, basically doubling your health bar, well not basically, definitely doubling your health bar, and being able to heal as well as give a very big attack boost if you are at max HP. So they're very, very strong, still an S tier captain in my eyes, no changes whatsoever for them. Next we've got Germa. Now Germa for me, like honestly, I want to put in S tier sub, mainly because you can run them on a non-mono Sai team and still be able to get the super typing, which is super cool to me. The fact that you could maybe run like, say like Luffy as your captain with like, I don't know, like with Luffy and Sanji, and then use the super typing of Luffy, use Germa as a sub. That way you get both super typings for strength and for Sai, and then you're like Luffy Sanji's just like running riot. Or if you use like a friend captain Luffy and you bring like, I don't know, like a sugar lead, then you can have like 3 super typings popping. Their super effectiveness all types is when they switch to captain, they give like a massive orb buff. and they are Psy. So for me, like, they are an S tier sub, but they are very conditional around the Psy sort of build, as their orb buff is only for Psy. But the fact that they are like super effective against all types, if you can fit them on a team and they're working quite well and you have a bunch of Psy units, they are incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. Next, we've got the Sweet Commanders. The Sweet Commanders, for me, I guess we can put them into A tier captain. To me, this unit is just a way better version of Super Type Sabo. Like a way better. They have a lot of very good supports. They have a very good support themselves. 2 turns of Despair and Special Bind removal, I'm pretty sure. So they're very good, and they can be hybrided up very well. As a sub, they're actually incredible for strength teams as well. I think they're just like way more viable as a sub, but I don't think they can sort of make the criteria for the S tier sub, and I think they are way better than A tier sub. So I'm gonna slap them up to A tier captain because they can be used easily as a captain. They are a 5 times multiplier, which is great. Alright, next we're going into the Super Evolution. So we've got Whitebeard. Whitebeard's really only good in Pirate Rumble. He's got a very good Pirate Rumble ability, but other than that, he kind of is useless. This Boa actually has quite a good support for Luffy units. She can change the left-hand side to matching orbs, which is a little bit handy. Next, we've got Super Type Sabo, the Psy one. No, he's just gonna see you later. He's gone. Next, we've got GPU or 6+ Usopp. He's going to be going into BT sub. He can get a conditional that basically no one else can get, as he, besides Super Type Katakuri, but if you can use him on Kazuna and get like delay mechanics off with delay conditionals if they have full immunity, he can actually work very well. So I'm going to put him in BT sub, but it's very rare that you actually use this unit. Next, you've got the original Tank Man. I'm going to put him in support. He's actually got quite a decent support. He's a fighter booster, so fighters kind of sucks at the moment. Like, I wouldn't even put him as BT captain, but he has a very good support, so we'll slap him there. Next, we have, did we get rid of Log Luffy's Super Evolution's not here either? Damn, I deleted Log Luffy. Log Luffy would go in that sort of spot as well. I was like, where the hell's Log Luffy gone? Next, we've got Rayleigh. Rayleigh's definitely, or he's 6+, is definitely an S tier sub. The fact that he can remove 7 turns of Bind Paralysis and Despair is incredible. He has one of the best supports in the game too, so if you don't think that he should be S tier sub, or even A tier sub, B tier sub for whatever reason, he definitely finds his way into support. I would say I use him more as a support unit, but he's still got a very good special, and I just sort of use him a lot on teams. He has one of the best sailor abilities in the game too, getting the cooldowns very similar to Sobermast. It's only for 1 turn, not 4. Next, we've got Lucci can go. He's got a trash special. See you later. Next, we've got Shanks. Shanks can actually be pretty viable in Rumble. It's very rare that most people use him in Rumble, but it's still not to be discredited what this guy can actually do. Oh, I put him in support. Hang on, he's meant to go in Rumble. He's very good at ads doing back-ended damage, but other than that, he doesn't really provide too much. But he's a Psy unit, so I guess that's that. Next, we've got Kuzan, again, very good in Rumble. Not Ace, V1 Ace, very good in Rumble. Meme Goku, definitely S tier captain, one of the best units in the entire game. This guy is just incredible, and the fact that he's that good, I'm actually deleting him because he's an actual meme. He's trash. Do not level that unit up. Next, we've got Hody. Hody, to me, you can use as a B tier sub, mainly because he's got cooldowns built in, as well as special rewind removal. So I guess you could use him like as a sub. He does give damage reduction too, and when the like Blackbeard and that come out, he's going to be very good. But for the moment, like, powerhouses just have so many better options that we're going to remove him from the tier list. Mihawk, I am going to slap into B tier sub. Very similar to the reason that I kept Dofi on this tier list. You can still use this unit for revive mechanics and stuff like that. But other than that, he's really not used all that much. Let's see if that works. No, it definitely does not. Okay, sorry about that. But you can still use him, so he's a BT sub, and he's like one of the only characters that can do what he does. This Zoro is a chain locker and a slasher booster, but he has a very good support if you are using a Mihawk character. We sure have a lot of very good Mihawk characters in the game for a 2.5 times chain lock for 2 turns, which is great. This lore has a very good support for Corazon, 1.75 times Rainbow Orb boost if you use it on a Corazon. Croc, 6+ is just doo-doo, see you later. This Bardo has a very good support for Robin, 3 turns of paralysis removal, which is great. V1 Lore can give cooldowns at the end of the turn, like the end of the fight, so I'm going to put him in support as well, just because I think he does deserve to be on this list. You can use him as a sub, I guess, because he just ignores barriers for your specials, but other than that, like, normal attacks only still exist, and no one's really doing too much damage with specials. Next, we've got Kizaru, one of the best Rumble characters in the entire game. Definitely finding his way into the Rumble category, no question about that. Buggy just dupes drops. There's no real replacement for that, so I guess we'll put him into B tier captain. Just because it's like the lowest version of this list, I guess. But obviously, you only are using him for specific things, like duping drops, when the content's very, very easy. Next, we've got Jinbei. Jinbei's going to come up here into S tier sub. The big reason he's an S tier sub for me, there are obviously a lot of rare recruit units that can kind of do what he does, 5 turns of damage reduction and defense up. He also manipulates orbs for fighting units. Oh my god, why will you not go to the start? Bruh. Can you just... Okay. Oh, you know what? You can stay there, whatever. But the big reason he's up here is because he has the sail ability to completely remove Special Blind, which is incredibly strong. So that's what's going to keep him up here in the S tier sub tier list. Next, we've got V1 Judge 6+. Honestly, V1 6+ Judge sucks compared to like his non-super evolution. So I'm going to put him in B tier sub because he can still boost Driven and Powerhouse units, which is going to be good in the future, and Powerhouse still are very, very good. So you still can use this unit. He's just not very, very good. Same with Magellan. Magellan 6+ is okay. If you can get the poison off, he's great, but otherwise he's sort of doo-doo. Next, we've got Corazon. 6+ Corazon, one of my favorite 6+s in the entire game. I use this unit religiously. Has one of the best supports in the game too, so worst case scenario, he would find his way down here. But I've actually limit break keyed this guy as he gets a butt ton of cooldown. He is very, very good. Enel is going to say goodbye. No one is using Enel anymore. Then we've got Sanji. Oh, that's not Sanji. This is Sanji. Sanji's actually got quite a good support. You can make an argument to put him to BT captain for his jump mechanic, but if you are utilizing that, you're pretty much just using Sobermast. His support, giving a chain buff 0.5, is actually quite strong, so he's going to find his way into the support category. Next, we've got Frankie. Frankie's actually pretty decent, especially if you're running majority fighters or running, like, as long as they have one of the 4 original classes. The big, oh my god, the Mecha Frankie, what's his name? I'm blanking right now, but the big Frankie version is actually like quite strong. You can get around a lot of mechanics. If you guys don't think he's a B tier captain for whatever reason, because he can be hybrided up very, very easily, he actually has like a very good support for a 1.4 times attack boost for the Straw Hats, as long as you use a damage dealing special, I'm pretty sure. But for me, he's a B tier captain. He's got a very good special. He can be like a 2.25 times attack boost if there are a lot of enemies. Next, we've got Hakuba or Cavendish. Very good support for quick units. Locking the orb, giving a 1.5 attack and orb boost. Very, very good for utility characters. Dogstorm's going to find his way into the Pirate Rumble category. He's still a very good unit for Rumble. It's basically all he's really good for. Next, we've got Neko. Neko's actually got a very good support. He's not very viable as a captain anymore, as strikers sort of suck. And he doesn't provide anything else besides a little bit of utility. And other characters just do it better, but his support on like chop off, removing attack down, and bind is very, very strong. This Lucci, you could make an argument that he is like a B tier sub, because he does a lot of color affinity and utility for shooters. The problem is he does it for shooters, so that's where he's going to find his way into support, as he does a 1.5 times color affinity for shooters on the final stage. And if you like don't have anyone else to use color affinity on the team, and you just have a couple shooters, you can easily use this guy just to get a little bit extra damage. Next, we've got the V1 Snake Man. V1 Snake Man is definitely a tier captain. He can be hybrided up with like a lot of very good units, as he is actually a strength unit, which is absolutely awesome. So he bare minimum, this guy is an A tier sub. But if you guys don't like to use him too much, I guess you could drop him down into A tier. Sorry. I think I got my words mixed up. He's definitely an A tier captain for me because he can be hybrid up so much. But at, like, worst case scenario, he's definitely an A tier sub, as he has that carryover effect. He does a chain buff as well, which is really, really strong. As a captain, he can make every color matching. So if you partner him up with, say, like the super type Luffy, it works very, very well if you are missing some of these higher strength super type units. Next, we've got Boa. This Boa, honestly, isn't amazing, but she does change into a color affinity booster for free spirits, and free spirits are very, very good. This Dofi actually has quite a decent support, and I use the support a lot, but like where this guy truly shines is Pirate Rumble. So that's where I'm going to put him for now, basically because he's one of the best Rumble units in the entire game. V1 Big Mom, she's been having a lot more play recently, mainly because of the Sweet Journals, but honestly, you never run this unit. She's just so finicky to use, and she's just so self-reliant that she's just, honestly, to me, she's just doo-doo. Next, we've got Iso, the 6+. of V1, I think it is. He's actually really, really good at run. Or is that the V1 6 plus? I think this is the V1 6 plus, actually. He's really good in Rumble, and then the other one actually has a decent support. I think it's like that. I think V2 got his Super Evolution first. Well, the V2 Super Evolution, he can change orbs for slashes, which is quite strong. And then the V1 has a very, very good Rumble special for like a 50% HP card. So that's where they're going to sit on the tier list. Next, I've got V1 Akainu. Now, V1 Akainu, you could argue, is in, for my eyes, in the same category as Super Type Sabo. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't have as much damage output as Super Type Sabo does. So I don't really want to put him here, just because he can be hybrided up. But the main reason that I used, or the main purpose of this unit for my account, is as a support. Changing all orbs, as long as you deal damage on a strength unit, into strength, as well as a 1.5 times attack boost, is really strong. Even if you're only using it for the orb manipulation on a mono strength team, it's incredibly powerful. Next, we've got Nami 6 plus. She's definitely an A tier sub. Paralysis removal, color affinity, orb boost. Very, very good unit. Plus, she's a Nami, so she has like every good support under the sun. Shirahoshi 6 plus is going to go into A tier sub as well. She's very similar to Shirashiri, just like not as good. But the Rainbow Orb mechanic, actually, you know what? I'm going to put him into B tier sub just because Shirashiri just does it better. But the Rainbow Orb mechanic and that heal is actually incredible. She also removes recovery, Boron, and recovery down, which not a lot of other like characters do. Shirashiri obviously does that because you can pick it, but other than that, yeah, she's definitely a B tier sub for me. Bullet. I'm actually going to keep Bullet as an S tier captain. Literally with like every single release, Bullet just gets stronger. As long as they're a quick strength or in character, he's always getting stronger. Being super effective against all types basically makes color affinity just so powerful. As well as being 4.75 to himself, he just demolishes Garp's challenges, and he can actually just run a lot of hard content, as he can be hybrided up very, very easily. Even with normal attacks only, this guy still shines. So if you can still shine around normal attacks only, and that's like your gimmick, unlike V2 Katakuri or V2 Dofi, it's so much nicer. It's so much nicer. Next, we've got 6 plus Katakuri. 6 plus Katakuri is definitely going into the A tier captain for me. Shout out to the boy Toadski, but this unit for me is, I agree, is one of the strongest, one of the most fun units. As, hang on, let me just move this up. He's definitely one of the most fun units to use, as he has that like guaranteed conditional, and he can give the delay mechanic as well as tap timing. So he's incredibly fun to use, and he can still beat a lot of very good content. Plus, he's an int unit, so he can be paired up with a lot of these other very good int characters as well. The fact that he has that delay mechanic makes him as good as he does. Next, we've got Sabo 6 plus or Lucy 6 plus. For me, I only really use this guy as a sub, mainly because he's got that carryover effect. He's just basically a better version of his original self, but he becomes a free spirit, which basically gives him so much more viability on so many different teams. Unlike this Lucy here, who's a striker fighter. So that's kind of all I really need to say about that, I guess. Next, we've got Robin. Robin's definitely a BT sub. Her mechanic to just nullify damage is pretty handy when it works. Plus, she's Cerebral Booster, which is great because Cerebral is very, very good. And she gives recovery orbs, which has actually become a lot more viable with the hunger mechanic in the game. Marco, very, very good healer, as well as being an orb booster too. He's a powerhouse unit, which makes him very, very good. Not much else to say about Marco, really. 6 plus Whitebeard. 6 plus Whitebeard kind of has to go in the same category as Kaido does. Mainly because... let me see if I can just bring you up there. Okay, cool. Mainly because they both basically do the same captain ability for the same two classes. And they actually work really, really well as hybrid units. Now, Whitebeard has a much better special in my eyes. The downside is sort of like strikers. They don't provide too much. They do have like a couple of very good units. But because Whitebeard can remove a lot of despair, he can do a chain boost, he can be an attack booster. For me, he's just a better sub on a double Kaido team. But you can easily pair them up, and you can easily just beat as much content as usually. You don't really need one Kaido. Next, we've got Garp. Garp to me is an S tier sub. Garp actually has one of like the best, it's a really, really good support as well, removing special bump for 3 turns. The downside to Garp is he really only fits on Kobe and Helmeppo units. Well, he does, as well as Kuzan units. And now the Kuzan is like really the only like benefit you're getting out of him, I guess, best way to put it. But he's special, removing 7 turns of special blind, chain lock, 2 turns, like 2-stage special. He's just, I love running Garp whenever I can. He's a free spirit and a powerhouse, and he's a side character, so he can just be used on so many teams. 6 plus Rayleigh. I kind of want to like give him the justice he deserves, as he's a chain locker and an orb booster. But the real place this character shines is actually in Rumble. Now, obviously, there are some units up here that sort of work really, really well in Rumble as well. You could argue that Hawkins is good in defensive teams with Rumble. You could argue that Kid's very good in defensive teams with Rumble. Katakuri, the super type Katakuri is one of the best Rumble units in the game. But just talking overall, if you're like not really like Katakuri, for example, there's not really many other characters that can do what he does as a captain. Where there are a lot of characters that can sort of do what these particular units do down here, but they can't do what they do in Rumble, if that makes sense. So Rayleigh's a chain locker and he's an orb booster, and obviously you could look at someone like Dex Sabo, Dex Sabo, who does the same thing, obviously just for different mechanics. And yes, Rayleigh does have damage reduction, but for me, like, just sort of giving them the greatest limelight, this is where he does shine the most, and that is Pyre Rumble, very similar to this Dofi, and why that Dofi is actually here. Next, we've got 6+ Jinbei. 6+ Jinbei is actually not terrible, to be honest. I kind of want to put him in B tier captain, mainly because he can be used alongside hybrid teams, very similar to this Kaido. He does boost 3 different colors. It's just his special that kind of lacks a little bit of damage. So you definitely could use him. I do think he's better than like the slashes and stuff like that. So definitely put him up here in B tier captain. Next, we've got Capone. Now Capone, I really want to put in like A tier captain, mainly because he boosts Driven, but Driven and shooters on global still suck. Like, there's no question about it. So using this guy as a sub for someone like Katakuri is actually really, really good. He can trigger the super typing, same with Blackbeard. He's a Driven booster now, which these two characters are. So I definitely want to put him in A tier sub, give him some recognition, because he's actually a lot of fun. Now, after that giant spiel, thank you for sitting through this if you have stayed for the entire video. But we are now going to talk about the 3 new units that are out on OPTC Global. So we're going to start with 6+ Blackbeard. I've actually been using 6+ Blackbeard a lot lately. I did take him into like Heavenly Demon 2, Revolution Army 2, and the Kid Forest. And hybriding him up was actually really, really good. So I'm actually going to put him in B tier captain. He still does have a lot of downfalls. But I do think he's better than most of these other captains here. I guess you could probably argue Super Type Sabo, but like Super Type Sabo definitely cannot beat hard content like Blackbeard can. The downside to Blackbeard is he still doesn't get around base defense or defense up. He like gets through damage reduction, threshold, barriers, all that sort of stuff. But the fact that you don't get defensive effects and you can't get through defense, to me it's just kind of like, but why do, you know? But he does reciprocate what he does, as you can't give yourself like a blue defense buff, I guess. He does get through nullified damage as well, which is super, super nice, and he can be hybrided up. The downside to him as well is just team building. If you guys don't have many characters, very similar to this Katakuri actually, but like to a much higher extent, where if you don't have many characters that are like shooter, striker, like if you can't make up that team comp, it is very hard to like build teams for him. I do think like Katakuri is a little bit tougher, same with like Carrot, because you do need to have the 2 classes in the 1 unit. And with Blackbeard, as long as you get the striker slash a shooter fighter throughout your entire team, that does include friend captains, he will then get the ability to go through barriers or go through defensive effects, which is really, really strong. His special did get a buff as well. He does 5 turns of blind removal, and he does block orb manipulation, which is actually pretty nice. The downside to him is he still is a driven and powerhouse unit. He's a dex unit, which like still sucks. Powerhouse is great, but I would have loved if they changed his classes to something like Striker, because he gets the Quake fruit, and even something like Shooter, or even leave him as a Powerhouse still and give him, or a Driven unit, and give him like Striker, Shooter. Give him 1 or if not 2 of the original classes. That would have made this character infinitely better, as team building for him would be just so much easier. So much easier. He does have a very good key though, if you guys do want to key him for whatever reason, but I definitely wouldn't recommend keying this unit, as I mean, his hybrid potentials are great, and you could probably argue that you could put him in like A tier captain, as he can like still do some things that some of these other characters can't do. But he's just not there yet, and I still don't think he's as good as someone like Whitebeard. I still don't think he's as good as someone like Komarasaki or Stampede Luffy. So for me, he's still going to sit down here in B tier captain. If he had like the original classes, he would definitely make A tier captain for sure. Alright, so the final 2 units, or the final unit we're going to talk about, is Big Mom vs Kaido. One of the most anticipated units actually to like release on OPTC Global, the very first verse mechanic unit. And I'm going to talk about Kaido first, because I think Kaido is everyone's favorite, or majority of people's favorite, I should say. So Kaido is going to be an S tier captain. There's no doubt about the fact that Kaido is one of the fastest captains in the game. Being able to get that versatility where he just does so much damage can make speed farming so damn fast. But even if you don't get that versatility, he still gives 2 cooldowns to 3 different colors. He has a very good special, 2.25 times attack to his 3 colors, being strength, int, and dex. And then if you hit 3 perfects, you get the carryover effect of the orb buff. That carryover effect is it's going to be infinitely useful, especially when content has, like, if you use an orb buff, it does this. The carryover effect will not trigger that. Very similar to why Pudding is actually so high on this list, because she can actually get around mechanics, which is really, really strong. Kaido's versatility basically does a 20% HP cut, and if you have 2 of them, it's 2 20% HP cuts. Then you get a 1.5-ish mil, if you have them limit break keyed, to AoE, and then depending on how much damage he did in that turn, very similar to Bullet, he does 3 times the damage as end of turn damage to 1 unit with the highest HP. So as you guys can see, like, this unit is not only very, very fast, being a 5 times captain with a 2-turn cooldown at the beginning of the fight, and reduces HP by 20% at the end of the turn. I forgot to mention that. He also increases the chance of landing on TND and makes them matching. To get his versatility, you obviously need to eat 10 TND or recovery orbs. The fact he has the recovery orb or the Semler orb in there is still very, very good, because you can hybrid him up with Big Mom as well, and run like 1 versus Big Mom with 1 versus Kaido, which is actually really, really fun. But for me, I actually prefer Big Mom. Now, both of these units to me are actually S tier captains, and you can make arguments for which one's better, which one's more fun, as Kaido obviously just seeing all that damage, all those numbers, it is a lot of fun when there are no normal attacks only. But for me, personally, I actually much prefer using Big Mom. Now, the reason I prefer using Big Mom mainly is because she has the ability to use Psi units rather than Dex units, and as you guys know, Psi is just infinitely better than Dex. If you have a look in S tier captains, all of these characters up here can be used with Big Mom. All of them. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. All of them. Now, Shanks Crew is probably the only argument you'd be like, well, but what happens when Shanks Crew the quick unit? It doesn't matter, his switchability is so damn strong. Putting him on a Big Mom team is just bonkers. Now, obviously, you don't really want to be running Bullet as a sub, but if you can, for whatever reason you want to. Roger, obviously, amazing, 3 times attack boost. Luffy Sanji, healing, which is great for Big Mom. Also giving recovery orbs, which, hey, look, great for Big Mom. The Mera ability and all that healing with Boa can work great with Big Mom. You can still get the chain lock, I'm pretty sure. You can get the chain lock off with Law, as she is a driven and powerhouse unit. Luffy can be an orb booster, so you can use like Luffy special and get full board orbs. And then obviously Shanks can be a chain locker. So all of these ST units can be used with Big Mom. She has very, very good support capabilities. You can use the Sweet Generals to Despair and Special Bind removal. You've also got the limited rare recruit Perispero that can remove defensive effects. You have the new Daifuku, who's an absolute god. Absolute god. He's like my favorite support unit in the game. Him or Koshiro, the Zoro master. The thing with Zoro is Zoro just doesn't have much justice, so you can't really use that support of his. But with Big Mom and Daifuku, you can easily use that, trust me. Kaido has some very good supports too, though. Like, you can use X-Drake and Page 1, and then you have the new Caesar. I'm not a big fan of the new Caesar, though, mainly because he just gives more damage that Kaido really doesn't need. He does remove Blind, which is nice. But between the two of them, they both actually have some decent supports. Just in my eyes, Big Mom's supports are a little bit better. Big Mom will boost for 5 times Int, Psi, and Strength. So 2 of the colors that Kaido does. You can easily build Int and Strength teams very, very easily, and that's sort of what makes the Int and Strength colors so damn strong. In my opinion, Psi is still the best color in the game. Mainly because, like, look at this. You got like 4 very, very good units, but you could argue, or sorry, 5 with Shanks Crew as well. But you could argue the same with Strength having 4. So in my eyes, it goes Psi, Strength, Int, and then like Quick and Dex are kind of like on par depending on the content. But Big Mom's great because her versatility being a little bit different to Kaido means that she can herself can go through defensive effects, and she turns recovery orbs into Semler slots. Now, that's normally not a big thing, but if you guys have used Roger and Odin and you see how strong the Wano orb mechanic is, not only for the extra damage, but the fact they cannot be removed, and obviously there is no mechanic in the game that can make Semler, Rainbow, or one or orbs unfavorable. So you're always going to have matching orbs if you do have recovery orbs with this unit. You can easily pop something like Luffy Sanji. You can use the Magello ship to lock the recovery orbs, then use her versatility. There's a lot of different shenanigans that you can get on with Big Mom. With her versatility live, she also basically takes the souls of the characters she kills, and she uses them as healing. Now, the big difference between her and Kaido is Kaido's built around the damage, doing the 20% HP cut, where she has a 1.5 times HP multiplier. So this unit has so much goddamn HP that it's not even funny. She can output a lot of damage, she can go through defensive effects, and she can heal like an absolute mother trucker. So this unit, for me, is like, out of the two, is my favorite. But I still think that King reigns supreme, and Roger is just a little bit more fun for me, as he's just more hybrid potentials. It's a little bit less finicky in terms of team building, but I will admit that Big Mom vs Kaido, whichever one you want to say is better, is a very, very, very close second. But there you guys go. That is going to be my tier list for April 2021. So thank you for you guys that have seen this video through to the end. If you have fast forward to the this part of the video, well, this is the tier list, I guess. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me. And if you are new to my channel, consider hitting that big red subscribe button too, as we upload OPTC videos every single day. But wherever you are in this beautiful world, guys, make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Lates!